Y'all, this is our part 2 where we're talking about with all the vendors, photographers who are throughout the wedding and event and all the wild things you may or may not know, and they're going to share tips and tricks. We're here at something called the Vendor Mix with Masterpiece Weddings, and so you may hear fun partying in the background. It's a place to be. But I'm going to go around and have each of my colleagues introduce themselves, all amazing photographers. And Irene, do you mind starting with yourself and your company?
So my company is Brooklyn Focus Photography, and I'm Irene. The confusion is there sometimes because people want to call me Brooklyn. But that's the name of my daughter. I named the business after my daughter because she has a really cool name.
I love that.
I love that. I am Ashley, obviously with Dark Grace, but similarly, people often try to mouse Grace. So I get that so much. I really feel that. So
I am so sorry for calling you Brooklyn earlier. I'm sorry. I respond to it now. Irene. Hey everyone, I'm Christine Comley with CWP Photography.
I'm Kyana, and this is Logan. He can introduce himself too, but I figured I would. We're Schrack and Co Photography.
we're so happy to have you guys. So to get us started, I was thinking we could talk about maybe things that, like for example, we're in this beautiful venue today. Christine and I were chatting about it. Every venue is so different. I don't know, Christine, if you kind of want to talk about just things like that you prep for, or like feedback that you would want to share with clients about things to prepare as you think about maybe working with a photographer, or things that you do as a photographer to prepare for the event.
Yeah, sure, Ashley. I would say to prepare, first of all, I'm sure everybody could agree, you kind of have to be prepared for any situation, right?
Yeah.
It could be a bright sunny day when you think you're heading to the venue, but then it's dark and cloudy. You need to be prepared for all lighting situations. But walking into this venue today, we're looking at the concrete floors, that metal ceiling, and of course a lot of white paint. So our hearts are singing because we're thinking great natural reflection.
That word I thought was so interesting because both you and Irene said that word to me about the space. Like when we were talking, it's like this light, it's beautiful. So I would not have necessarily thought about that, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
And then the other thing you said that I thought was so interesting was on your end backing up photos like after the event. So tell me more about that. What you would like recommend?
Yeah. So
photographers and or I guess clients.
That's coming into the event, right? But on the back end, 2 parts. Yes, for photographers, I go home, no matter how tired I am, I'm putting those images straight to the cloud, right? My concern is that something's going to happen in the middle of the night. Definitely never leave my camera in my vehicle. Never know what could happen.
Yeah.
And as somebody... I think of everything. I think we all think of everything, right? As somebody who has unfortunately lost my childhood home to a wildfire in California, pictures can be gone very easily, right? So I think our goal is to, save those images until they're delivered to the client, never deleting them from a memory card, external hard drive, or the cloud. But something after delivery, right? We see all the time. I can't tell you how many times I've had clients come back to me a few years later after a wedding, after a session, and ask that I re-upload their gallery, send it to them. Yes, of course, I still have those images 5-10 years later, but when you receive your images from your photographer, you have to upload them to the cloud. Once again, computers are going to fail. You could have a flood. You could have a fire. It's a matter of time before your computer, kicks the dust, right? So just make sure you're using a cloud-based storage system.
That's great. So beginning to like planning and prep for photographers and sensing this thing. And I mean, so that's really interesting because the other piece I would think, but I'll let you guys share, is that, on the floral side, for example, there are certainly things that can be expensive about what we do. Just the stems in general, so it's really expensive, but the camera itself, I mean, that alone, just the one piece of equipment that is so expensive, I think would be a little bit, not challenging, would be stressful, I guess. So how do you is there like a way that you take care of your equipment? Like how do you, like to your point, you obviously don't get in the car, like I'm going to get that, but like, do you have like a set, way you organize and store your things.
I think it's organization is big. We've just recently invested in a Pelican, just a really good waterproof case.
Oh, that's great.
And we've done. We'll take our cameras even offshore to do because we like to go fishing and stuff. So it's kind of another realm where that is. It's kind of sealed and also crush proof. Flying, we found it's really good for travel. That's one of the main reasons we got it, because you can have a camera stuck in a backpack. And even though there's great camera backpacks, when they get lugged around for hours on end through a plane and in and out, through cars, vehicles, and buses, just having one place that's solid. So that's what we appreciated that.
We also did put an air tag in our Pelicans, so that's like a sound mind of knowing that, okay, we know where to track our stuff. But on the wedding day, I feel like you guys know, you have your equipment on you the whole time. It's not leaving your side.
Eat with it.
100%. Watching this and your potential, you're planning your wedding, I do think this is all making it clear to me. Your photographs, and for most people, it is a really important part of the wedding. Definitely do your research. Make sure that your vendors think about all of these things. I think that's one thing I found, and it's very true in the photo industry, and I think for anyone in the wedding industry. I think there's value in what you're paying for, so I think the cheapest option is trying to downplay my right.
That is a good point.
Right. So think about if you value photography, make sure you're choosing a vendor that thinks about all of these things, because there's so much.
To play off of that, I think just going off what you said, Christine, taking your photos up after the wedding, it's just as important to be able to take your photos in the wedding, so having that backup camera. And if you get the cheapest photographer out there, usually they don't think through that process. If a camera goes down and they have a bad SIM card or something.
Right. That's just so that's the thing. I don't think people realize just how many times probably
in the middle of things,
right.
your go-to, nothing's wrong with it. You have no idea. All of a sudden, overheated.
And see, for me as a florist, I'm trying to be out of there. But that stuff still happens. It's just But for you guys, I feel like it's also that added touch. To your point, they're about to have a post this, and you're I'm here. Make it happen. That's crazy. So, any crazy stories you guys want to share? I heard Irene said something earlier that I was cracking up about. That somebody actually tried to take a very expensive camera. Take your picture.
They were going to be able to just take the picture.
I would not hand that off. But just in general, I guess you probably all have crazy stories about, I was telling you, but even just the short interaction I have, there's always somebody that's going to joke about me pinning the mirror. And that's the only interaction I have with the couple of families. So I'm sure y'all have seen it all, but no people leaving it back. Should we do a part 3? Susie, thank you so much for joining us today. And if you guys have any more comments or questions, put them in the comment section. We'll try to answer them to us. We'll see you at the next one. Thanks, guys, for watching.